when you find yourself in a situation where you cannot meet your obligations, don't you walk into your bank and have a conversation?
You talk about extensions. So you talk about your restructuring is that, okay, I was supposed to have paid 5,000 every month. Okay, I would not be able to pay you 5,000 every month. I'll be able to pay you 4,000 every month, which means the tenor of payment should be extended.
So that's one option, isn't it?
It's one option.
That
should be the best option, not haircuts.
But there are also, listen, in the UK, for example, I don't know whether that happens in Ghana if you have debt. If at any point when it becomes clear that you can no longer service your debts, the debt is then sold to other companies who will give you the option that, look, you are struggling to pay this amount. We're going to reduce it to this amount. If you can pay that, then your debt will be cleared.
That's reducing interest rates?
No.
Okay, guys, I thought that
give you a haircut on the actual debt you owe.
The inspiration did not calm you. Let me do the drive safe, and then you can continue. Our drive safe campaign brought to you by Joy News and Multimedia Group, supported by Toyota Ghana Company Limited, Toyota Superior Quality, and Imperial General Assurance Solid Protection. Today, have an escape route. In all driving situations, the best way to avoid potential dangers is to position your vehicle where you have the best chance of seeing and being seen. Having an alternate path of travel also is essential. So always leave yourself an out, a place to move your vehicle if your immediate path of travel is suddenly blocked. That's how to ensure your safe arrival.
Let's learn how to say it right. Brought to us by Kingdom Books. At Kingdom, quality and affordability are their hallmarks.
Something must be done.
You say either, I say either. You say neither, and I say neither.
Ghana is working its way to an IMF program. This year is undoubtedly going to be remembered as a tough one. That reminds me, do you sometimes hear people say undoubtedly? I think I heard that on some other radio station recently. The correct word is undoubtedly. It means without any doubt. You could also say indubitably, which means the same thing, but not undoubtedly. Yeah, English language can be tricky sometimes, but at least we can have some fun learning to say it right.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
All right, the news review is brought to us now by Milo Energy to go further and Enterprise Life's Family Income Security Plan. Enterprise Your Advantage. Guys, the Vice President was in Cape Coast.
Oh, wonderful.
Yesterday, yes. No, Mukrum. And he had some interesting things to say about. I don't know whether his comments were on literacy or... Anyway, let's hear a clip.
I am particularly happy today because when we first mooted the idea of the Sino-Hydro Roads project after my visit to China in 2018, many of our political opponents said that what we were proposing to do under the Sino-Hydro Roads project was not possible. They said, in fact, that we were lying. But today marks yet another day of the commissioning of yet another Sino-Hydro project, Feely. Unfortunately for some of our opponents, when we say something and they don't understand, instead of asking for an explanation and also reading about it, they don't like to read, they don't want to ask for explanation, they just say you are lying. But today, as we commission the road, Omoaye, ding.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Wakasa.
You know that song? Omada.
There's one thing.
We'll play it as inspirational song.
Yes.
There's one thing you cannot hate about the vice president. He has a nice way of throwing jabs.
It's difficult to even attack him on that.
Oh yes, he has a nice way of throwing jabs.
Yeah.
He says, and it gives you a clip which you would save for another day.
Yes. Unfortunately.
Let's get into the newsroom.
Yeah. I wish we had a bit of time to talk about this. We don't. We'll probably see if maybe later on we can touch on it, because there is something important to be said about roads, and the fact that this is the third year of roads in a row.
Yeah. But at least it should be good news that something is happening.
Yes.
I mean, at first, our major concern was that it appeared nothing was happening, especially under the Sino-Hydro, which had a lot of the roads listed. I mean, it was not reasonable to expect nothing happening. But it's good news that a lot of this is happening anyway.
Progress. All right, then. Let's move on.
Now, the Daily Guide is reporting this morning, Ghana IMF negotiate bailout. And yesterday we got some snippets of what's going to happen in the conversation. I think the debt restructuring took the center stage. The fears, the possible hopes. Some actually think that we should either be discussing debt restructuring or no debt restructuring, or how to avoid debt restructuring.
How to avoid it.
Yes. So actually, others are putting on the table. Atfosi believes that this is the first time we are putting debt restructuring ahead of the main conversation. Mostly, it's debt sustainability plans that we do, but this time around, or refinancing. But this time around, we are going head on into restructuring, which is to him very problematic.
But I think the statement from the finance ministry talks about debt sustainability. But of course, debt restructuring is part of debt sustainability. What we're seeking to do is...
It's not refinancing.
Well, what we're seeking to do, the debt restructuring, is to make you, is to enhance your debt sustainability.
Of course.
That's the whole idea. So it's a matter of, saying, we're engaged in debt sustainability measures.
So debt sustainability, debt restructuring, we're still talking about debts.
Yeah, because
we owe and we can't pay.
No, not yet. One of them is that you owe in the future, you may not be able to pay, so you have to plan properly so that you cannot go there.
Okay.
And the other is that you owe, but it looks like currently there might be difficulty soon. So what do you do immediately? Did you get the point? So we all do that sustainability plans. How do you make sure that you pay your debt consistently to the banks and all of that, so that you not fail, even if you are staff of this job or you lose all the alternatives? That's the thing you do with sustainability all the time. But on this other side, it's more like, how do we make sure that the next few months we can pay?
Have you guys seen Kaselato Forson's tweet?
No.
I'll read it. Folks, after calling the minority names because I insisted they add ESLA and Get Fund bonds plus cocoa bills and Sino-Hydro to the public debt, government has finally agreed as part of the IMF negotiations to add all of them. Our public debt to GDP is now about 100%, according to Kaselato Forson. Our debt is definitely unsustainable, making debt restructuring unavoidable. We'll come back to this later and see whether indeed he's right.
All right.
Well, my checks indicate that Sino-Hydro and Cocoa Board, yes, has been...
They are being...
Yes, I mean, the IMF has indicated to government to add that to our public debts.
They have always been of the opinion that should be the case.
And it looks like government has accepted that.
Okay, all right. Now, let me move on to this one. EC pledges ID cards for qualified voters. Hopefully not with the NI card, right? I mean, yeah. But anyway, NDC sponsored Evil GS.
Why hopefully not with the NI?
Yeah, because the NI card, the way that it is going, with the next few days, there is no way the 2 million will be registered. At least we were told yesterday by the NIA that the 2 million will not be registered by the end of the year.
So what you mean is hopefully not only with the NIA?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
you were going on to...
Yes. NDC sponsored. So we are being given an inclination as what really happened on the day that the global the concert, right? Kojo's wonderful concert.
Why is it Kojo's? Why is it Kojo's
the concert you interacted with the executive president of this republic?
Raymond,
move on.
Thank you. Yes, the NDC sponsored the Evil GS there. So the away, the booing, the all the, if you want to choose Cocoa as artist, all the heckling that happened on the ground. It is, we now know that it was sponsored by the NDC. This is according to a deputy communication director of the NPP, Ernest Owusu-Aboagye.
Is that a position of the NPP or is it a position of Ernest Owusu-Aboagye?
Oh, I am tempted to believe the way the daily guy says MPP, maybe NPP, but apparently
that's the position of
Well,
the
they've
NPP.
attributed it to the MPP. I was hoping that we wouldn't come to this, to be honest, because I didn't see it as negative. I thought it was feedback from young persons to the president.
But even NDC people can give feedback to the
but
president. Why? Are they not Ghanaians?
The Deputy Tourism Minister, Mark Prekumante, has spoken about this as well, I believe, on Hits FM. He actually points to the number of people who were heard heckling. That perhaps it is the reportage later that made it seem like the whole crowd was heckling.
So it was 2 people.
But it was not the majority of the crowd, according to the Deputy Minister.
He has the entire number.
Feedback is feedback. Can they just take the feedback in good faith and act on it? The fact that some persons are unhappy because
Mamavi,
things
you
are
understand
hard.
Distinguishing is important. That you know where the feedback is coming from. Then you treat it properly. Then you can actually see it. And remember whether it's.
So
through that
what
feedback.
if those people were NDC?
They are Ghanaians too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, let's do the economy times.
But
And
they should stop sponsoring hecklers.
Yeah.
That's
clearly.
what they did.
All right, so you remember that last
Money is
week.
scarce in opposition. They are going to use it to sponsor hecklers.
Last week, the president was talking about guarding against. No, I think he said guarding against credit rating agencies earlier in the year. I think about like February. But he was recently also talking about credit ratings agencies biased against African countries.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
They're neo-colonial.
So what Bloomberg reported is actually what it is. Fitch, which is one of the international ratings agencies, had downgraded Ghana's long-term local and foreign currency issuer default ratings to CC from CCC. Bank of Ghana to sell $420 million in fourth quarter. And an official source has confirmed an imminent haircut of investors' funds in domestic long and short-term debt instruments. This means that investors who have invested their private funds in Ghana government Eurobonds and Treasury notes will only receive 1/3 of their total principal and interest invested, according to a widely circulated warning note by a Bloomberg publication. That's all in the Economy Times.
No. Okay, well, I think government ought to deal with this matter. Yeah.
We'll deal with this matter. Let's get to the graphic business. And government IMF negotiations take off. Debt restructuring measures must be transparent. Economist, that's Dr. Said Boachi. Everybody talking about it. And
IFS,
guess what? Yes, IFS. T-bills suffer low demand over debt restructuring concerns, of course.
All the things you're hearing there.
I mean, one of the first things I did when I heard of the debt restructuring was to go home and tell my wife, check your treasury bills.
You're looking for local solutions.
Under the circumstances, you have to look at the options and decide which would work best. But of course, we don't know how government intends to do that.
Brilliant. Now, the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning, VIP inaugurates 22-kilometer Cape Coast inner city roads. We talked about that earlier. And Attorney General advocates equal right for minority groups at the UN General Assembly meeting. And 4 business operators in trouble for failing to issue VAT invoices to customers. With the GRA guys and a man who looked like a man who came here yesterday, joining them on the ground. IMF support will restore macroeconomic stability. This is the IMF speaking. Those are the stories the Ghanaian Times reporting this morning.
The Daily Statement has this: government positive about IMF deal as critical stakeholder engagements begin.
And the Daily Graphic Splash says, Save Fishing Industry Association calls for a strong policy on foreign fish. A story by Della Russell-Oklu. And UN pledges $260 million support for SDGs Agenda 2063. IMF Ghana confer on economy. Government committed to minority rights. That's according to the AG. Back page, Dr. Bawumia inaugurates Cape Coast inner city roads. And 3 business owners arrested over VAT receipt default.
Okay, the Finder newspaper. They also have the IMF story. Says IMF begins analysis of Ghana's ability to meet debt obligations. Parliament approves fees for access to information. And the GRA grabs 4 shops not issuing VAT receipts. We can do online now, can we?
Yes, let's go straight online. The online review is brought to us, as always, by Zenith Bank. In your best interest, Goyle, Good Energy, and Bigo Drink.
Goil, your oil marketing company of choice, keeps making life ever so convenient. Goil now accepts Momo for all fuel purchases at key selected stations. Just remember to Momo it at Goil. That's not all. You can also use your bank card to buy fuel at Goil, and this is made possible by APSA. So drive to Goil stations now, buy your fuel, pay by Momo or a bank card, and you're good to go. Visit Goil's social media platforms. Facebook is goil.official, Instagram is goil_gh, and Twitter, goil_official. Get more information on the service stations. You can conveniently use Momo. Goil, good energy. Goil, yeah, yeah.
Top story on myjoyonline.com is from something Dr. Chiahini said to Evans Mensah on PM Express last night on the Joy News channel. Establish a debt limit in the Constitution to control borrowing. There's a thought. CityNewsroom.com has nobody suffers if other IDs are used for voter registration. That's Asidun Ketia's analysis there. And on CNN this morning, Philippines to shut 175 offshore gambling firms and deport 40,000 Chinese workers.
That's guts.
That's China.
Anyway, let's get to the BBC News.